What's up, Vol fans? What's up, SEC fans? Bobby C here, and this is the new Volunteer Roadshow Studios provided by CFI. They're going to let me use that for my studios for today's live show, and this is their big, beautiful Kenworth 680 True to the Troops truck. Now, they really support our veterans, and we have a lot of veterans working here at CFI. So show them some support with hashtag True to the Troops, and let's get with it.
You can sense the intensity as they await the arrival of the Tennessee team here at Neyland Stadium. The #1 undefeated Volunteers prepare to race onto the field. Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
What's going on, Vol fans? What's up, SEC fans? And all the other college football fans tuning in. Catfish here. You also know me as Bobby C. And I wanted to give another big old special shout out to CFI, the company I'm contracted to. They've loaned me the True to the Troops truck again, and I'm sitting in the truck doing my live show, and I want to hear from you guys. I've got a new guest on, hadn't been on the show yet. His name's Big Dawg Brett. He's going to be calling here just a little bit, but we're going to go over some action going on. But before we do, I'd like to send out my condolences to the Wade Sims family. For those of you that don't know, he's the LSU player that was murdered, shot in some restaurant. I think it was this morning. It happened somewhere near Baton Rouge, but he was a junior, a great player. They were talking about he was going to be seeing some significant starting time this year, and it's just sad to see anybody lose a life, and especially a young fella like that. I think he was somewhere around 22 years old, or no, 20, I believe it said. And I just my condolences goes out to those guys at the university, the team. I know they're grieving. I'm also going to go into some of the things we're going to be talking about is the new road uniforms. I want to hear from Tennessee fans what y'all think about our new road uniforms. We're going to go over some betting lines with Couch Coach, and hopefully Big Dawg Brett will tune in here in a minute and call in. But the phone lines are open, and remember, you can still hear the show while you're on hold. I invested heavily in some phone lines. I see we got Crying Ryan in the house. He gave a good rest in peace to Wade Sims there. But before we go into the show, I'm gonna do my regular shout out to everybody. But I'm gonna go ahead and bring Couch Coach in. How you doing, Couch Coach?
I am doing excellent, sir, on this day before Tennessee and Georgia Eve.
Before I go into all the shout outs, tell everybody what you're going to be doing. What's your plans today and tomorrow, and what beer are you going to be drinking mostly?
Oh, man, it is a busy weekend, sir. After I get done with you, I'm going to go up to Athens. I'm in Lawrenceville right now, not too far from Delusional Paul here, and I'm going to be hitting up 316. We're getting ready to do the tailgating, getting that set up tomorrow morning. Man, I'm going to stop by Creature Comfort Brewery at some point tomorrow. We're going to be down by Georgia Theater sometime tomorrow. Really just want to hit the tailgating spots. There's some people who might be able to get me a game ticket tomorrow, but I think I might decline it and just kind of hit the tailgating spots in Athens. I hope the weather's going to be great tomorrow. Classic City is one of my favorite places to be. And I would love to hear from some of the callers about some of their favorite tailgating experiences, especially on the road. There's just something about SEC football in particular, just how great we really can do the tailgating setups. I mean, I've been to Ole Miss, I've been to Tennessee, And I can tell you that those are two of my favorite places I've been to. Of course, Georgia, Florida is a great time down there in the Landing. That's something that you should always try to do as a fan. But it's just exciting to be able to get back into Athens town. I always like going for a big game every year. Last year I went to South Carolina. The year before I went to Auburn. So regardless of what happens with this Tennessee score, I mean, we know Georgia's going to win. I'm just really excited about the fact that it is a rivalry game. It's an SEC opponent, and it's just going to be a really fun day tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we chop up all that's going on in the ball games tomorrow, I'm going to do my shout out. But you're right, the SEC has some of the richest traditions, rivalries. I've heard a ton about the Grove. I heard what a great place that is to tailgate, and it's always near the top as far as voted the best place to tailgate. Now, Tennessee ain't too shabby. We've got, you know, the Vol Navy down there with all them $1 million boats and tailgating. Yeah. The only thing I don't like about Tennessee is it's down on the river, which is a great scenic view. But if you're going to the game, it's horrible. You got to walk up and down a hill. It's uphill both ways to that stadium.
Yeah,
and you got to walk.
I remember that.
Walk 2 miles both ways, and if you're lucky, your car will be where you parked it, because they used to have a bad habit about towing everybody. But I'm going to go through everybody that's commenting in the comment section, and we've got a few on here, and let's see here. Give me just a minute. I've got a new system, and I appreciate y'all hanging with me, but I'm gonna scroll up to the top and try to get everybody here. I already see Delusional Paul's in the house. He's always here to give me a hard time, but we're going to talk about his team here in just a minute. But I'm going to the top. Crying Ryan's in the house. Pigskin Pete, great friend. He's helped me out a lot, and he's been on the show. Love you, Pigskin. Arlen Block, I believe I've responded to your email today. I had so many emails and texts and stuff that I'm still finding emails and texts that I thought I responded to, but I didn't. It just got bombarded. I appreciate your email. SX Glover, Gatorbait 88's in the house. Delusional Paul. Now, Delusional Paul, if you call in, you know you're going to have to sit on hold, so just be prepared for that. Bulldog's in the house. He's always in here. JDRCE7YT. Sup, Catfish? How you doing? Glad you're in here. Cold Blood's in here. G White 713. How you doing? You've been following me for a while. Andrew Odom. He's been one of my most loyal followers. He's in here. Space Mountain. How you doing, Space Mountain? He's a Gator fan. He's riding high, but we're going to discuss whether or not he's going to be riding high Saturday night. SEC Dawg, always in here. He's a great friend. Let's see who else. Anybody new in here? Austin Newsom's in here. Uncle Luke, great kid. He even did me a video where he put on a Tennessee uniform for me. Y'all go check his video out. He's a North Carolina Tar Heel fan, but good kid. I'll go through the list here, see if I see anybody new. Oh, Michael Tarleton's in here. He's followed me since the beginning. And when I say the beginning, that's just been a year, but it seems like it's been just a few months. This time's flown by, but they say time flies when you're having fun. Senator is in here. He said it's glad to see you kicking. Good deal. Glad you're in here. John Neal, great Tennessee fan. Stan Hill's in the house. Good to see you in here. Joshua Simmons. He asked me earlier, where's my Georgia video? And I said, man, I've had so many doctor's visits and fighting with insurance companies. I didn't have time to do one this week, but I've got a week off, but you bet I'm going to have one ready for Alabama. SEC Football Tube's in the house. Y'all go check him out. I think they've got everybody in here. Let's see. Yeah, that's everybody. But anyway, while we're waiting on Big Dog Brett, he's a new guest I've got. He's out and about. He said he'd be on here about 7:30. I want to hear from Tennessee fans what y'all think about the new uniforms. Now, I want y'all to keep in mind, I can't watch this the live chat as closely as I want to, the way this setup is. But I'm going to try to take a peek at it whenever I can. But call in. I want to hear your opinion about this game. It's a 31-point spread in this game, and I want to hear from you guys. You know, me and Couch Coach would rather hear from you guys than tell you how we feel. But the number is 855-489-7623. And I'd really like to get the phone lines lit up. Don't let me waste my money that I've spent on all these phone lines and nobody call in. Crying Ryan, you better call in. Anybody else, just give me a shout and we'll chop it up. But let's go over our picks. We were perfect last week. And Stan Hill, before we go on, Stan Hill said, yep, classic throwback. They are. They're not the black outline orange numbers like they had been for the last 15 years. They're kind of like the early 90s uniforms, and I like that. That might be a good luck charm. If we go down between the hedges and come out with a W, we better be wearing them uniforms the rest of the season. Well, we got a caller calling in, and I'm going to get to him real quick. Let's go over this Georgia-Tennessee game. I want to know where we need to put our money, and tell us about the line and the spread on that and what you think, and I'll follow you up.
All righty, sir. Well, it's minus 31 right now, or 31.5, depending on what book you look at. The over and under is 55, and of course it's Friday, which is the time when a lot of bettors start putting their money on the game. Look, 31 is a ridiculous spread for any SEC opponent. I mean, look, as a Georgia fan, even I kind of cringe a little bit at the 31. The 55, I don't have as much of a good feeling on it. I mean, look, Georgia's going to win this game. They're going to win this game convincingly. They're just a better team than Tennessee right now, and that's just all there is to it. Now, that being said, there's just a lot of variables there. I mean, Tennessee is not going to have probably 6 turnovers in this game like they had the week before. Georgia's not going to attack them through the air probably as much as like Will Grier did towards the end. So all those things can kind of weigh in. But if you're a Tennessee fan looking at this objectively, you want to throw a little money on your team on that 31, plus 31, that's honestly not a bad play. I mean, to me, I'll say that Georgia wins. But, I mean, Catfish will probably play the 31. I'll take the 31. It's not a confident pick, but I'll take Georgia on the 31. But definitely Georgia straight up. And that's just kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking probably like a 48-13 kind of game, something along those lines. But it wouldn't shock me to see like a 38-17 kind of deal too.
Well, here's how I'm going to lay my money. I'm going to take. I don't care who it is. If it's Vanderbilt, of course Vanderbilt's not the old Vanderbilt, but 31 points a lot. I'm putting my money on Tennessee. I just got a feeling. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be smoking this thing or not, but I tell you what, if Tennessee does win, I'll smoke that thing down to the nub. you haven't seen a post-game live call-in show like you'll see if we win. I promise you that. And I see Curtis Schwab, a great Oklahoma Sooner fans in here, and Big Dog Brett.
I remember Curtis.
Yeah, I think you did a fan face-off with him. Was that you?
I did.
Yeah. He's in here, and I've got Crying Ryan on hold. I'm going to let him hang for about 10 seconds, but I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take Tennessee. So keep track of this, and so we know how we did. And let's skip over a couple of games, and I'm going to bring Crying Ryan on. I just renamed him Crying Ryan, so his new nickname's Crying Ryan because he's always crying. So Ryan, talk to us. You got Catfish and Couch Coach, and we're going to talk about your game. What do you think? Florida is a 7-point dog with a 49-point over/under. What do you think?
I think this game is way too sporadic to bet on. This could go two ways. It could either be a blowout, or it could be like I could see a 3-point game happening with the last-second field goal. It all depends on if Mississippi State is really that bad or if it or if Kentucky is just that amazing this year.
All right. So,
Yeah.
are you going to take the points and put your money on Florida to cover 7?
Yeah, of course I am.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Pigskin? I mean, not Pigskin. I saw Pigskin in the comment section. Couch Coach, where are you going to go?
Yeah,
Are you going to stay away, or are you going to put your money somewhere?
See, I'm going to be really interesting to see where this line moves for game time, because I'm trying to see if there's enough money that's going to go back on Mississippi State side. And if it does, then I like Florida on that 7.5, 8. But now that it's starting to get to 7, I kind of like Mississippi State there. I mean, 7 usually at home tends to cover by a lot. So if it stays at 7, I do like Mississippi State. And right now at 7, I do like Mississippi State. But if it goes to 7.5, 8, something like that, that would be a good line to bet on with, the Florida Gator fans. And when you see a lot of these kind of betting videos earlier in the week, a lot of those spreads were like 7.5, 8, which is why I like to kind of wait towards the end of the week and kind of see what happens to see how I really feel. But yeah, at 7, I like Mississippi State there now.
What about the over/under at 49? What are you thinking? I'm a little scared of that.
I don't have an opinion on that. I have to stay off the over and unders because I've been getting whipped pretty bad on those.
You've been getting shellacked on the over and unders. Well, here's what I'm going to do, and this has nothing to do with you, Ryan. Well, it kind of has something to do with you because I like you. You followed me from the beginning. I see James Friday's in here. I'm going to take Florida to cover this. I don't know. I've got a feeling. So, Crying Ryan, just because I like you, I'm going to take Florida to cover that 7. So, what do you think about your team? Tell me about it. What are y'all going to have to do to win? Any injuries? What are you crying about this week about why your team might lose? Tell me. I'm listening.
I'm not crying. I'm not crying about anything, but I'll tell you what we need to do again. We need to get another 6 turnovers. That'd be great.
You got lucky. Got lucky.
You can't get lucky at all 6 of them. Some of them were
no, but
bad
you were lucky
play.
on 2 of them. Hey, that one where he fumbled out of the end, that he was going in for the score and he fumbled it. Y'all did absolutely nothing to earn that ball, but that's the rule. I gotta live with it.
We tackled the man.
Come on.
He was wide open going down the sideline. My man ran all the way across the field, dove, tackled him, and your guy was just too cocky and couldn't hold on to the ball, and so he dropped to the end zone.
Well, congratulations
again. The game of football.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote Dan Mullen here. At the beginning of the season, throughout the season, he said this. That's what you call relentless effort.
All right. What else? Where are you going to be watching this game at? Are you going to watch the Tennessee-Georgia game? Who are you pulling for?
Who am I pulling for? Well, not because I want either team to win, but purely because what would help my team the most, probably I'd have to pull for Tennessee, right?
Don't you have a family full of Tennessee fans too?
Yeah, but
that's probably the reason why you wouldn't pull for them, isn't
it? Yeah, you can imagine how last week's game was. Me and my dad watching on the same couch. It wasn't.
Did he kick you out?
He tried to.
All right, Ryan. I appreciate you following me, and I wish you luck. And your Gators better pull through for me and win me some money. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
I got a feeling. This is gonna be a good game.
All right, buddy.
By the way.
Yeah.
This best birthday present. My birthday's on Sunday. The best birthday present would be for me to wake up that day on my birthday with a win under my belt. That's all I've been saying.
Well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Well, I'll catch you later.
See you, bye.
All right, sir.
All right. Got another call coming in. Let's see. 423 area code. You're on with Catfish and Couch Coach. How you doing? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Catfish?
Hey, buddy.
So I'm wondering about the wreck. Did you have insurance?
Yes, yes and no. I'm not sure yet. I've got insurance, but the guy that came across the median and I ran right slap through his trailer, the name of his insurance is ASAP Insurance. That doesn't make me feel real good. About the only other name they could have used that would have made me feel worse is if it was called Acme Insurance. But people don't realize when you get in a wreck, I mean, a lot of doctors don't like billing liability insurance and things like that. There's a lot of upfront cost involved in that, and I've been fighting doctors and insurance companies, but I think they're going to total the truck. I saw it today. The motor mounts have broke off, the frame's bent, and all I need is it to be about $70,000 or more in repairs, and they're going to total the truck. And I think they're going to bust through that number pretty easy.
Yes, sir. The only reason why I asked is I was in an accident, and I got a settlement, and I think that you should get a settlement. Absolutely. You should be compensated, but sometimes that can take years and years to go through it.
I have taken some counsel on it. One of the things they told me, and I don't want to derail the show, but one of the things they told me was, whatever you do, if you have something wrong with it, get treated for it, even if you've got to pay for it up front, because if you don't get treated, it's like it never happened. And an emergency room visit really don't do you much good, according to my legal counsel. So I'm going to take care of business there. But what you got as far as football is concerned? Who's your team? Are you a Tennessee fan?
Well, I got to say I'm a Georgia fan.
Uh-oh.
But, I'm right on the border. I live in Fort Oglethorpe, so I'm right on the border. I love Tennessee. I mean, I want always root for Tennessee, except for Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think, but Tennessee's just kind of, I don't know, they're kind of falling apart, but
yeah,
that's how, I don't know.
The point spread's
but
at
hey,
30.
Georgia,
The point spread's at 31. Do you think Georgia can cover 31 points?
No, absolutely not. No. Here's the thing. Tennessee has always played well against Georgia. Always.
Except last year.
It doesn't matter. Well, maybe, but when you look in the past, Georgia has played Tennessee rough against. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. Yes, Georgia's going to win, but can Tennessee kind of? I don't know.
Well, I've got my money on Tennessee to cover that. And what did you say, Couch Coach? I'm gonna before y'all get with it. I'm gonna introduce to y'all a YouTuber that I've reached out to. He's a Georgia YouTuber, great guy. His name is Big Dawg Brett, and all his stuff is in the description. So go check him out and sub him up. Welcome to the show, Big Dawg Brett. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Catfish and Couch Coach? How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Doing excellent, sir.
But anyway,
hey, really.
I wanted to ask the caller, what do you think Georgia's going to do this year? Do you think they're going to run the table all the way to the SEC championship game, or do you think they're going to stub their toe? I don't see anybody beating them, really.
Yeah,
absolutely, they are going to run the table. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Did you have anything else for us?
Kentucky's making some noise, but absolutely Georgia will run the table.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I appreciate you watching the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Couch.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, you got to understand. I know, I'm Big Dawg. I've watched some of your videos too, man. I haven't subscribed you up yet, but I'm going to, and I really appreciate what you do, representing the Bulldog Nation and everything. I just wanted to kind of put that blurb out there to you. But, to me, Georgia this year, we're kind of touch and go. Last year I felt like at this time we were really kind of aligning ourselves to make a really good push. We had kind of some really good senior leadership there. And I think that team kind of around week 4, week 5, you kind of could tell that we were starting to make, some noise at Alabama and be like, okay, it's us too. We're kind of going back and forth. I feel a little bit that way this year, but man, we just got some youth on that defense, and it just is what it is. I mean, I still think that we're, and this is just me being a quote unquote realistic, pessimistic Georgia fan. But I think that we're still about a year away from having that really massive team. I think this team is going to be very good. I think this team will win the East for sure. I think this team will get to Atlanta. Do I think we're good enough to beat Alabama with what we kind of have configured right now? I don't think so. But it's early in the season, so it's kind of far away. But I just think that we're 11, 12 wins. We can see how it goes. But again, I said that we would go 10-4 last year, and that team exceeded my expectations. So you tell me, Big Dog Brett, am I being just overly pessimistic?
No, I don't think you're being overly pessimistic at all. I think if you're going to look at any football team, and especially one that you really care about, and try to be objective, I think that the things that you really have to poke holes in is definitely the experience. And once you start getting late in the season and you start looking at some of these more veteran teams, these guys are going to have a new move or a new trick in the bag that these rookies haven't seen yet, that these guys have learned over the past 2 or 3 years at their school. So there's going to be a learning curve there for sure. But I don't believe Georgia's going to run the table. I think that's an overly optimistic view. I think that if you don't give teams like LSU the respect that they're starting to earn, you can go in there and certainly get punched in the mouth. And I certainly feel like that's kind of what happened with Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think the Missouri team, I've mentioned this before on the Tuesday show with Pigskin and all that. I mean, he was really surprised by how the team ran up the middle on us. Well, I was a little surprised by that, but I kind of felt like the focus was on our secondary this past year, and I felt like that's going to be something that's going to be more of a strength for us in the middle of that defense where we lost Roquan and Lorenzo. I mean, that's just going to be what it is. I mean, we have Monty Rice, who was kind of injured and everything, so we're going to give up some yards on the ground this year. But the thing is can our passing attack evolve? To the point where we can really utilize our weapons in the receiving core, and we really got to be able to push it downfield as the season goes along. I mean, what do you think about kind of the Justin Fields dynamic and where we should go from there?
I think that anytime you look at a football team, of course, you win and lose as a team, but I think that your offensive line is only as strong as its weakest player. And at this particular point, I think that Gilliard is getting exposed as not being a veteran player. The problem is that he stands right in the middle of the line. And whenever the ball is snapped, he's the one that they're getting penetration on, which is, of course, causing the center of the pocket to collapse. I mean, when you're trying to run up the gut and that hole is not open, it makes things very difficult. And if you've noticed, a lot of the big run plays that Georgia's have managed to accumulate over the past couple of games is it'll be an initial run play up the middle and then a bounce to the outside. And DeAndre Swift is excellent at it. Holyfield happens to be strong enough that when he runs around the corner or he goes to bounce it out, he's breaking tackles. And if it wasn't for those two features, Georgia's run game would be struggling mightily.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, when you talk about teams, all teams, I mean, this has been a focus with Clemson this year, and I mean, especially when they went to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that's been making a lot of news this week, of course, with Dabo making the choice to go to Lawrence, and of course Kelly Bryant transferring. Look, in this day and age, you have to be able to score 35 to 42 points and have an explosive offense going into the playoffs. Alabama has that capability. Ohio State has that capability. Clemson has that capability. And Georgia has the capability to score 35, 42 points. The question is can that passing game really evolve and spread people out? Because our speed personnel at Georgia is second to none as far as I'm concerned. But, man, we got to have a quarterback, and we got to be able to call plays, and we got to develop players to get that going, because we're not going to have 150 yards passing and run a dink-dunk offense and beat an Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I mean, when you're playing in the South and you're playing, and I say SEC football, you've got to have some kind of defense against a run game, or that's going to eat you alive, and teams are going to control the clock. I mean, looking forward to Georgia playing Tennessee. what I'm hoping to see is that Georgia is able to stop a running attack the way it should by wrap-up tackling, which we're not doing a great job of right now, as well as being able to run the ball ourselves. You know, those two things have got to come into play. Now, granted, if you're going to win the national championship, and I forget where I saw the stat somewhere, you basically have to average like passing of like 200 yards a game to be a team that's going to beat Alabama. Georgia's doing that part, but the run game is terrible. What I've been watching as far as Georgia with not just Georgia with Tennessee, what I've been watching with Tennessee, and I kind of wanted to talk about the scoring and covering the points, is that in its worst game this season, Tennessee scored at least 14 points in its worst game, and that was against West Virginia. And Georgia's worst game, they scored at least 41 points.
Yeah.
So that would tell me that if both teams play their worst, you're still going to see a score of at least 55 points. So, to me, I think that's going to get you over. Now, I find it interesting that if you look at the 14-31 score, you're looking at a 27-point ball game, not a 31-point ball game. So you basically have to have you'd have to have more than a field goal past that point. Mm-hmm. Do I believe Georgia's capable of doing that? Yes. But my personal thought of what I think Georgia's going to do, and I think they've been doing all year, a lot of mass substitutions. They're not taking this part of the season schedule seriously. They're trying to get as much experience on the field as possible, trying to get these guys coached up. I mean, basically, if you play at Georgia right now, unless you're like third or fourth string, you're seeing a lot of playing time. So it's going to make the team better down the long run, so that there's not such a drop-off in talent when we cycle through, when we're getting close to the end of the season. Guys are experienced. They know what they're doing. And I think, if done correctly, if Tennessee's offense gets to clicking, that can hurt Georgia. Tennessee can move the ball. The offense has shown spits and sparks of where they can get down the field. And if Georgia doesn't take them seriously, just like I don't feel like they really took Missouri seriously, it could cause for a game that's going to go well beyond. You're going to look at a score, in my opinion, of what you're going to see closer to, I want to say probably the 45-49 number again, but you're also very capable of seeing that game go to anywhere from 14 to 21 points on the Tennessee side. Now, I was pulling for Tennessee against Florida, but it just seemed like every time Tennessee would get a little bit of momentum, something would happen, and it would knock them back down.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go to the calls real quick, and I've got a couple on hold, but I want to keep talking about this Georgia-Tennessee game because we've always played each other really tough historically. But I'm going to go to a caller. He's been on hold for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
You're on with Couch Coach, Big Dog Brett, and Catfish. What you got for us? Are you there?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Big Dog and Couch Coach and Catfish? Pigskin Pete here.
Oh, Pigskin, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Pigskin?
Hey, man, how's it going? First of all, Big Dog, you gave some great points on there. I don't want to change the subject and derail the show, but I did a stream earlier today where I went in depth in my thoughts about this quarterback situation at Georgia. And I know if you're a Georgia fan, you don't want to hear that there is a quarterback situation because it's not in the news right now. And I agree that there is not a quarterback situation right now. My whole point is, if you look all over the country right now, you see it happening at Miami with Coach Terry taking over for Rozier. You see it at Notre Dame with that pocket passing quarterback taking over for Notre Dame. Obviously, you saw it last year and into this year with Tua taking over from Jalen Hurts. And, of course, the big story of the week is Kelly Bryant being benched in favor of Trevor Lawrence, and he's transferring. And so what you're starting to see is sort of a shift in the way that these coaches are taking an approach to underclassmen that are just a different type of player than the one that has won you games up until this point. Now, my point with Georgia is, like I said, you're beating everybody by 40 points. Jake Fromm last year came in as a true freshman, won a big game on the road, the first game of his year at Notre Dame, took you all the way through the college football playoff and was one play away from winning the national title. And actually, he did play great throughout the playoffs and was throwing the ball down the field and doing what he had to do. Yeah. What I think is going to happen with this new red shirt rule is whether or not you have a quarterback controversy at Georgia now or next year, it's going to happen. That's inevitable because if Fields does not see the field, if Fields doesn't see the field next year as a starter, I think he's going to transfer. If Fromm does not see the field next year as a starter, I think he'll do the same before the 4 games is up. And so I'm very interested to see where Georgia fans stand on this, because I've spent the past 3 days arguing with Clemson fans over this Kelly Bryant thing. The entire fan base is split on it, and you guys all know how I feel if you watch my videos. But I want to know how you feel as a Georgia fan about it.
You want to take that first, Coach?
Yeah, sure. Well, I agree with all of that, Pigskin. I mean, that's a good assessment, and I think you're right. I mean, you're seeing these offenses just explode just at ungodly levels in the passing game. And just what these kids are running at the high school level, these spread offenses. I mean, they're coming into college with cameras in their face, and they're used to the hype. So it's not – I mean, when people say, well, you got beat by a freshman quarterback, I mean, that doesn't mean what it used to mean. I mean, like a Trevor Lawrence now is as good as a 3-year starter in some places as far as I'm concerned. And just to kind of touch base on Clemson's side, Dabo absolutely did the right thing. And you believe that, I know, but he did the right thing by Kelly Bryant, even though Kelly Bryant doesn't feel that way right now. Because the wrong thing, I've played for coaches that would not play the best player. They would play their son over someone who is more talented, and there is nothing worse than playing for a coach that won't put their best talent on the field. So I applaud Dabo for making a tough decision as a leader, and I applaud all these coaches for kind of moving in that direction. Now, in Georgia's case, here's what I think is going to happen. If it's nothing but 150 yards of bubble screens and of what Fromm can do, and that's his ceiling, and he can't elevate, which I'm starting to get a little worried about, then I'm concerned that, I mean, Fields is going to start, and here's why I believe that to be true. Kirby has to show the Bulldog people.
Start when?
He's going to start – I think he's going to start by next year. Okay. But here's the thing. Kirby has to show black athletes that he's not afraid to play a black quarterback, an elite black quarterback at the University of Georgia, because that has been the stigma against a lot of those players coming to Georgia, was that we won't play a black quarterback. Even though we played DJ Stockton.
That's unfortunate that people think that, but go ahead.
That's what they think. Yeah. But what do you think, Brett?
Well, I think it comes down to this. I think that, and maybe this is me just being a Georgia homer. I think the way that he recruits is a little bit different than maybe the way some other schools recruit. There has been more, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but during the Mark Richt era, we earned a reputation of having, 3 or 4 starters suspended for the first 3 or 4 games of the year. Yeah. You're not seeing that anymore. And I think that goes to show. I think that goes to show that the culture there has changed and shifted. Now, when it comes down to, is Justin Fields going to start? The only way, in my opinion, Justin Fields is ever going to start, no matter how good he is if Jake Fromm gets hurt. If Jake Fromm keeps playing like he's playing. Now, the only reason that Tua got to start had nothing to do with Tua's talent. The reason that Tua got to start was because Nick Saban, out of desperation, put him in the second half, and he won the game for him. That's the only reason.
I think so too.
And I think that no football coach can look a young man in the face and say, "You're not the starter, even though you won me the national championship." And that's the only reason Tua is a starter. And he had to look at Jalen Hurts and go, "Dude, yeah, I get that we're 24-2 with you starting, but you couldn't do it when we absolutely needed it, so we had to go with this guy, and I can't take that away from him." So I think that put Nick Saban in that position. Now, I think that whenever Justin Fields came to Georgia, chose Georgia, he knew that he was going to be in contention. He has a much better relationship with Jake Fromm than Tua has with Jalen Hurts, than Kelly Bryant had with whomever the new guy is. I can't remember his name right now. But the relationship and the culture is different. They've asked Justin Fields straight up, what are you going to do if he's not the starter? And I believe his response was, I'm here to win. Doesn't matter who starts. I'm going to get to play. We're going to figure it out. And to me, that says a lot about a player because you've always got two running backs. You've always got two wideouts or two wide receivers or two safeties, whatever. You've always got two of them. So I feel like if a quarterback is already at the helm and has control of the poise that Jake Fromm does, regardless of what his performance is, he still has the poise. He still has the command and respect of that team. Some of the celebrity coaches and athletes that's come in and looked at Jake Fromm, how he manages the team when he walks in there, speaks volumes about how the team expects, or who the team expects to run the team on the field. They're not saying that about Justin Fields. They're saying Justin Fields has a lot of talent. That's great, but you got to be able to command that team.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, and just coming from a standpoint of somebody who just went through this, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree because the players are always going to say the right thing when they come in there. I just want to win. Trevor Lawrence said the exact same thing. It's not up to the players. It's up to the coaches. And, yes, Kelly Bryant had the respect of the players. Trust me, they said so much throughout the entire preseason. We want Kelly to be the guy. Even Dabo Sweeney came out and said before the season started that he hopes that Kelly Bryant wins the job because he's a senior and he wants to see Kelly Bryant go out on top. At the end of the day, though, if Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Jake Fromm, and I listen, I'm not going to say he is or he isn't because I'm not as well versed on the Georgia depth chart as you guys are, but I do know that Justin Fields was the number one quarterback to come out of the country last year, and Jake Fromm was not when he came in there. And
well, let me interject real quick, and then I'll rest my case on the Fields Fromm thing. When I saw Justin Fields step onto the field for the very first, when I saw Jake Fromm step onto the field for the very first time, and it was his team, nobody in the country believed that was a true freshman quarterback. Nobody. When Justin Fields went out there playing backup, you could see that most of the time he looked flustered, he looked unfamiliar, he didn't look comfortable, he looked none of those things. So to me, I have to believe that if Jake Fromm continues to progress the way he's going to, and so does Justin Fields, it's going to take Justin Fields at least another year to get to where Jake Fromm was when he started.
I'll settle this argument, Pigskin. I'm going to say it to you like this. If we get to the SEC title game and Jake Fromm has a performance like against Alabama like Kelly Bryant had against Alabama, where it's like 24-6 or something like that, I can see a scenario going into 2019 where Justin Fields will eventually take over and get that job. I just think so. I think so.
Well, let me get to the callers. Pigskin, I appreciate you calling in. I've got a stack of callers. Some of them have been waiting a while, but we'll continue talking about this, and I appreciate it. I'm gonna go get some of these calls, but before we do, I wanted to give some shout outs to some guys I haven't given a shout out to, and I'll probably miss some of you. Donnie Shepard, great Kentucky fans in here. Camden Deans, TCU fan, and I just lost my chat screen. I don't know what happened to it. I'm still getting used to it. Falcons Fury is in the house. Mike Reiser's here. I'll try to give some shout outs as I see you, but I'm going to go to somebody that wants to talk Kentucky football. Now, there hasn't been any football going on in Kentucky in a long time, so this is a new subject to us. What do you got for us about Kentucky football? Are you there, caller?
Hello, am I?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, am I on?
You're on.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go here. Kentucky is kicking some butt. Mm-hmm. What happens if Kentucky beats Georgia? How sweet would that be? Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you guys can reach out and ask Alabama for a game, too, y'all have about the same chances.
Yeah. I don't know. Me and Couch Coach both said before the season that we thought Kentucky was going to be better than everybody thought they were going to be, but I didn't think they were going to impress like they have so far. I mean, y'all could go to. Where's this game at tomorrow? Let's talk about that. Is South Carolina? I can't believe South Carolina is a 1.5 point favorite.
If we beat South Carolina, will we get some respect at 5-0?
I think you will.
I think if you go 5-0 and having beat actually it'll be 3 SEC teams at that point. I think that you guys will finally start feeling some of the way that us Georgia fans feel all the time. Yeah. Where's the respect at, right? I think the best thing that happened to University of Kentucky football is that Ohio State screwed up and didn't pick up Benny Snell. I think if that guy played for Ohio State right now, he'd be one of the biggest superstars in NCAA football.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to rain on everyone's parade here because I'm going to tell you what, man, you better worry about South Carolina. And I'm going to say this just as a caveat. I don't think South Carolina is a phenomenal team. I thought they were overhyped in the offseason. Anyone who was saying that they're going to win the East and all that kind of stuff, I thought that was crazy talk. But I'm going to tell you about South Carolina. When Muschamp and that group is under the radar, like they kind of are right now, they are a dangerous football team. And I think you guys need to worry about South Carolina first before you start worrying about Georgia, because if you don't, I think South Carolina can come in there and beat you guys. And I think that might happen this week. So, you know, if you go out there and smash them, I'll give you respect. But I think South Carolina is kind of
I have already said if Kentucky beats South Carolina, they have to beat South Carolina to get some respect.
What I've looked at with Kentucky, because I've actually looked at you guys pretty hard this past week, because I think you guys aren't getting any respect. At least you're ranked 17. I'd probably say you're probably better to be ranked around 11th or 12th. I think that, you know, your first game of the season, you guys held them to 20 points, and that's working out some kinks and trying to get everything running smooth. The next game against Florida, you guys held them to 16. The next game after that, you guys held that team to 10, and then when you guys played Mississippi State, you guys held them to 7. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that the defense is improving steadily. And the offense, you know, is kind of on pace with where it should be, that 28, 29, 30 mark. The only thing that I'm concerned about is when you guys play South Carolina is if you cannot contain their running back, I mean, their wide receiver. If Bentley can get consistent with that receiver, because he can get vertical, I don't know if you guys DBs can keep up. That's the only thing. The ground defense you guys have is great, and I think you guys can beat South Carolina. But I think it'll be more, if you beat South Carolina, it won't be a 1-point victory. It'll either be a 14-point win or a 10-point loss.
Yes, sir. Yeah. No doubt. This is the test.
Well, I tell you what, caller, if you beat South Carolina, I want you calling in on my show on Tuesday, and we'll have a long talk giving Kentucky all kinds of respect. I promise you that. But anyway, I think Kentucky's on the rise. I think they were a little slower than I think what Kentucky fans had hoped with Mark Stoops. But they're starting to get it together slowly but surely. I mean, they're kicking our butt right now, and I don't think Tennessee can beat Kentucky right now. But I appreciate you calling. You call back if Kentucky. Well, you call back anyway. You're always welcome on this show. But anyway, I'm going to go to catch another call real quick. We got, let's see here. Somebody's been on here a while. You're on with, let's see. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. You're on with Catfish, Big Dog, Brett, and Couch Coach. What you got for us?
Hey, Catfish, it's Terry. Listen, man, you've been in our thoughts and prayers. We're glad you're doing better. And this is an Alabama fan here, but I'm going to say that if Tennessee's struggling this year, I was going to give you that opinion. I think they'll definitely lose to Georgia, but when Georgia fans talk about when they're going to get respect and when they're going how Georgia fans or Georgia's not looked upon. Listen, when Georgia wins another championship, then I'll give them credit. I mean, they just ain't there yet. They just not. They don't. And people are gonna disagree with me, but I just don't think they're gonna be there this year either.
I agree. I agree that it's probably gonna be difficult for Georgia to win the national championship. But what I would say is, I think last year Georgia earned its way into the national championship,
Yes,
and I don't think anybody can say that Alabama really did.
Alabama might not have done it, but they won the games when they counted. They sure whooped Georgia. They were down 13-0, and they came back and did what they had to win it.
I love this.
Whether you like them or not.
What I'm saying is that I feel like I personally feel like if you want to go play in the national championship, if you want to go to a playoff system and you want it to be fair, 'cause that's why we all wanted a playoff system, was for it to be fair. I feel like you should have to win your conference. I feel like Notre Dame should have to pick a conference and get in it and then win their national championship, win their division championship if they want to go to the big game.
Well, if we're going to do that, then if we're going to do that, then we need to make the conference more balanced. The Western Division is a lot tougher than that weak Eastern Division right now, with Tennessee being down and Florida being down. Alabama played Texas A&M. They played Auburn.
You can't shift the conference's strength
based
on a year-to-year performance.
Used to be the East was the big dogs in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
But if you look, if you look at all the teams that have won a championship in this conference since Georgia has 1980, Tennessee's there, Auburn's there, Alabama's there, Florida's there, LSU is there. I mean, come on. I mean, that's when I think.
Let me tell you this. As a Georgia fan. I can promise you this. If we win a national title in the next 4 years, I don't care about Alabama's trophy case. I don't care about Tennessee's trophy case. I don't care about Auburn's trophy case. Auburn we have owned. LSU we have owned. Tennessee we have owned. And Auburn, Alabama, I give them the respect when they get the respect. But you know what? If we win one national title, you guys are still going to crow about your 25 national titles.
But I will say this. I will say this. It will make Georgia feel, in my mind, relevant again as far as a national championship competitor. If they want to win the national championship, don't matter whether it's Alabama or Auburn, it comes through Alabama every year.
Well, see that, and that unfortunately kind of negates your whole argument, because it doesn't matter how weak the East is or how strong the West is. Whoever wins the East is going to have to play whoever the strongest is from the West. That's why I said that I personally feel like any team that wants to go play in the college football playoffs should have to win this division.
My argument is this: you can rest up all year. Tennessee's going to be back though. Don't. I mean, this year they're not there, but I think Jeremy Pruitt will build something at Tennessee. I said that from the beginning. As an Alabama fan, that's what I was telling my opinion as an Alabama fan of Tennessee. I think Tennessee will be back in a couple of years, and I think Georgia will have to deal with them too.
I think that if you're going to say that if you and maybe I misunderstood, but if you think that Georgia rests up all year, the last game that we play every year is Georgia Tech, which is a triple option team, which always aims for your knees every single year. And if you'll go watch one of these triple option teams, you'll understand that when you leave that game, you ain't rested up. The fact that we have running backs, the fact that we have our best running backs most years blow out an ACL and they have to sit out for a year is not resting up. We lost our starting quarterback game 3 last year and still went to the national championship. We started a true freshman. I mean, that's not resting up. We lost our wide receiver the year before, torn ACL. So, I mean, we get beat up too. I don't know that it necessarily gets televised as much as maybe Alabama's injuries do. But whenever we played you guys in the national championship, y'all were beat up. We were beat up. It was a great game. It came down to a razor wire finish. And I'll say this one more time. I will absolutely say that Alabama's done a great job of putting national championship trophies in the case.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that for the fact that Georgia can play Auburn and beat Auburn, which Auburn beat y'all last year, we lost 2-2.
Auburn beat y'all last year too.
Yep, and then we turned around and beat
y'all last year too. Last time I checked.
Right, I absolutely agree they did.
Mm-hmm.
But if Auburn is in your division and they beat y'all, and we beat them, and we took y'all to the wire, I think that would stand to say that Georgia deserves a little bit of respect for at least being able to hang up there.
In year 2 of Kirby, not year 11 of Nick. Keep that in mind. We're loading up all of our pantry, my man. So I love Alabama fans. Alabama fans get me fired up, man. I wish I could put on some pads and go against some Alabama players right now.
Well, I tell you, if y'all only win one championship every 38 years, Alabama's not worried about that. And y'all ain't won one yet.
I know. Well, you can keep your Dusty trophy. We'll get ours, right?
One thing before you go, caller, because we got a stack of calls. Aren't you glad that your team is in the SEC? The SEC is by far the best conference in the country. And just the fact that we're having this back and forth just shows how passionate our fans are. And I'm really glad you called in. I appreciate your well wish. But I've got to get to 2 more callers before I run out of internet.
Let me just say this very quickly,
Yeah, go ahead.
The other biggest game of tomorrow is Penn State and Ohio State. Like you said, that's the only game in the Big Ten that matters. This entire year.
You're absolutely right.
That game right there.
Right. Yep.
We got delusional Paul on hold. We're going to get here in just a minute. But appreciate you calling and thanks for following my show there, buddy.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right,
Brett. Big Dog
All
Brett.
right.
Big Dog Brett.
We're going to take a vote. There's 3 of us. We got me, Big Dog Brett, and Couch Coach. I've got one of the most delusional fans on hold. I don't have to say who it is, but I think it'll be a good segue. So I'm going to vote to bring him on. But if you 2 guys vote to hang up on him, I'm going to drop his call. Delusional Paul wants to talk about Ohio State. Should I bring him on?
Absolutely, bring him on.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's get it on here. Now, Paul, here's the rules. I'm going to give you a minute, like I did last time. You start making delusional comments and start chirping too much, I'm dropping the call. But you were crying in the comments that you're about to hang up. I'm giving you the floor. Ohio State is favored by 3, and it's got a 69-point over/under. Where are you going with your money, Paul?
I'm gonna say Ohio State. And
yeah.
I'm gonna probably say under. I think our defense isn't that good. Their defense isn't that good. So there's going to be a lot of points, but that's a lot of points.
All right, Couch Coach, you're going to go first. Then I'm going to ask Big Dog Brad his betting position, and then I'm going to go third. But what do you think about this Ohio State-Penn State game? Ohio State favored by 3, and I think it's at Penn State, isn't it?
It's at Happy Valley, 110,000 fans.
I'm just going to keep it real simple. A 3.5. I mean, that's not a ultra strong play, but I like Ohio State. I think having Urban Meyer back matters. I think that they're going to kind of find their gel here. I think that I just don't like teams that don't play defense the way Penn State does, and I think Ohio State's going to win that one.
What about you, Big Dog?
You know, I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but I think Ohio State pulls it out, and here's why. I see absolutely no game that they have played this year that has any defense. None. I've seen Penn State step up and stop Pitt. They didn't have a problem. I mean, they absolutely shut down Kent. I mean, Kent only had 10 points the whole game. And if you look at Ohio State's games, I don't think anybody scored less than, what was it? The only game that they played where they really kept the score low was Rutgers, and they scored 3, and they scored some nobody team. They had a 6. TCU scored 28, and OSU scored 31. So I don't see any defense against a regular team. I think that Ohio State's a high-powered offense with no defense, which you're going to have to contend with. But I think that if you can get them to go 3 and out a couple of times each half, Penn State's going to win that game.
Well,
and our best defensive player, Nick Bosa, is not playing. That's what scares me.
Well, one player on defense does not a defense make. I mean, it's next man up, and it's always been that way. I think that Penn State is
not when you got the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Nick Bosa is a game changer.
He is a game changer, but that guy can't do his job if nobody else out there is doing theirs. He'll still get eaten alive. So, I mean, he's a phenomenal player. He's a showstopper, like Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith, game changer, absolutely. But every time Roquan's not out there all game long.
All right. So
I just think that Ohio State is going to have their hands full trying to deal with that defense, and I think that Penn State is going to continue to score points. I think Penn State wins it, but I think it's going to be a slim margin.
well, I'm going to put my money on Penn State, mainly because I like getting under Paul's skin. But the sponsor of this show, Fishing for Soldiers, the head guy that started that, he's a wounded veteran, and they provide service dogs for wounded veterans. He's a Penn State alum, and he told me that Penn State's going to take care of business tomorrow. So he's a smart guy, really smart guy, and I'm just going to go with Penn State. Sorry, Paul. But you call in, and win or lose now. Don't go hide when Penn State wins.
No, I'm going to be live, Catfish, the whole game, and I'm going to stick it out to the end no matter what happens. And that caller earlier for saying that Georgia waits all year and plays Georgia Tech, Ohio State has to play Michigan at the end of every year, then the Big Ten championship, and we always schedule a big Power 5 school early in the year on the road.
Yeah, and I'm actually
that guy.
I'm actually kind of upset that last year that you guys didn't get into the college football playoff. It still bothers me.
Well, you got a friend.
Out by Iowa. Well, I appreciate that, but what pisses me off is that if Ohio State would have done what Alabama did and didn't play anybody, then we would have only had one loss instead of those two losses because we wouldn't have lost to Oklahoma. So it kind of bite us in the butt by scheduling this hard schedule.
Well, since you're a big Ohio State fan, I got a question here I want to ask, and it's kind of down late in the season here. But what do you think you guys are going to do once you get to the Michigan State Spartans? Because I think those guys are underrated.
Yeah, they have our number. They've knocked us out many years. Back when we had Eddie George, we were number one in the nation, and I think 97 or 98, they knocked us out. And then when we had the best team we've ever had, we literally won the national championship with Joey Bosa and Ezekiel Elliott and those guys. And Michigan State came into the shoe. I don't even think they were ranked.
Hey, Paul.
Game-winning field. What?
Are you reading from the script? Because this is the same stuff you say every time, verbatim. Are you sure you don't have you sure you don't have a script?
Listen, he brought up Michigan State, and part of why is their coaching is Ohio State's old coaching. Jim Baldwin, the offense coordinator, and then Mark D'Antonio. Those guys coached at Ohio State during our glory years under Jim Tressel. And they play fundamentally sound defense. And they try to, excel on special teams. If you remember when they beat Michigan on that blocked punt, that game was just absolutely crazy. But that game going on the road to Michigan State, I have a healthy fear of that.
Before I let you go, Paul, because I got a stack of callers, there's a commenter that just wanted me to let you know something. Iowa just scored again. See you later, Paul. All right, we've got somebody else that's been waiting on hold for a minute. Let's get to them. They say they wants to talk Georgia football. Golly, I'm getting outnumbered.
Oh, my goodness.
What you got for us?
What's going on, Catfish? This is you probably never see me in the comments. I'm mostly on Uncle Lou's channel. It's KP Dawg here. First off, I want to get a go Dogs to all my Georgia fans out there. Easy win tomorrow.
Yes,
Easy win tomorrow. I'm sorry, Catfish, but it's just the reality. Hey, get it through your head, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You can see on the screen if you're watching. I've got something just in case a miracle happens. I've got a victory cigar I dug out of the wreckage, and I'm going to be able to smoke this sometime this season. And I'm not going to do this unless we beat an SEC team, and it might just happen tomorrow night. But what do you think about your Dogs? Are you going to take Georgia with 31 points? You think Georgia can cover that?
Yes, I do. I mean, we beat y'all by 41 on the road last season. I don't see any change here. 31 I'd take. I would probably say 45-10, somewhere along that. Yeah, so Georgia will win, no problem. We got bigger things to handle. But that Alabama fan,
Yeah.
whoever he was.
Can I talk about that for a second? I want to roll up and play those Alabama Cats right now. Forget what I said about next year being our year. I want to play those scrub teams. We're not Ole Miss, big boy. We're not Texas A&M. We will play you anytime. We can match up anytime. We will out-recruit you anytime. I want those 2nd and 26 jokes. I want to play them in the Dome right now. You bring that passing game. You bring that asshole coach of yours, and we're going to stomp you right in the face after you see us in December. What do you got to say about that, my man?
Man, we're all hoping that right now. But, hey, listen, Alabama, I got to admit, I ain't going to be a hater. Alabama looks ridiculous right now. Now, they can't be stopped. I hate the people who say, no, they can't be stopped. There's only one team in college football that can stop the tide, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs. Get out of here with Ohio State. They don't play nobodies. That idiot who said, Ohio State schedules tough Power 5 teams. Rutgers and Oregon State, them teams are high school teams, so I don't want to hear about that garbage. This is Georgia, Alabama. Listen, Georgia's got to get some stuff fixed. I'd like to see some passing going. Hopefully we get that going, especially this week. See, this is a week here. See, we need to be throwing the ball against these teams like the Vanderbilts, the Tennessees, the UMasses, whoever else is on, whatever chumps on our schedule. Well, we got to throw it down the field more. And if we can get that going, we can beat Alabama. Tua ain't unstoppable. You gonna tell me more? Tell me more about Louisville. They're barely beating cupcake teams every week. Tell me more about who's Arkansas State. No one's ever heard of them. Nobody. Tell me about Ole Miss. They gave up 41 to an FCS team, and who were they playing this week? I can't remember. That's all I got to say. Go Dogs. The mission to the national championship is on.
Go Dogs.
All right, buddy. Thank you, buddy.
That's a great caller. That is a great caller.
Call back again. You need to call back again. Now, I don't want the volunteer roadshow to turn into Uncle Lou North show and turn into all Georgia. But I tell you what, I've had more Georgia fans last week say I'm going to be a Tennessee fan for one game. Even Uncle Lou said it. So it's probably a record number of Tennessee fans this last weekend because of Georgia fans. I even had Alabama fans rooting for us. But we got one more caller. I'm going to get to him in just a minute, but I wanted to talk about, he mentioned Ole Miss. They're playing LSU, and did you say LSU was a 10-point favorite, Couch Coach?
They are. They were initially favored like 12.5 or 13, now it's down to 10. So money's going on Ole Miss right now.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that's another game that maybe I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but I'm gonna go the other way, and I'm gonna say if Ole Miss gets it going early, if they reach out there and they pop LSU in the mouth real quick, you might never see that momentum come back to LSU. Now, if LSU gets that ground game going, it's going to be a struggle bus all the way to the victory line, and if they win it. But I think this is going to be the first real test for LSU. I think that the teams have had enough time into the season. This is where you start seeing your upsets happen because they've had enough time to study enough tape and get their own kinks worked out that Ole Miss could go in there and win this game.
Well, put me down, Coach. Put me down for taking LSU. I think LSU's going to win this by 2 touchdowns. I just got a feeling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think
put
so,
me,
too.
Put me down for LSU.
That defense is just bad.
Yeah.
That defense, I just don't like after years of watching Mark Richt football and seeing good offenses and bad defenses, as a Georgia fan, I know what I'm talking about here. And that defense for Ole Miss is absolutely horrendous, and I got to go with LSU until they fix that defense.
Be sure to mark it down. But I'm going to go to this last caller because we've been on little over an hour, and then I'm going to wrap it up. He said he wants to talk about Georgia, Tennessee. You're on with Couch Coach, Big Dog Brat. You need to check him out in the descriptions. And Couch Coach, what you got for us?
Yeah, man, I'm just wondering, what do you think's going to happen in the not just the Georgia-Tennessee game, but also the South Carolina-Kentucky game, like score-wise?
I have Kentucky winning. I think they're going to beat South Carolina a 5th time in a row. I'm not going to take my money off of them yet until they tell me otherwise. They're a 1.5-point Dawg, and I believe they're at home. Isn't that right, Couch Coach?
Yeah. Yeah, they were initially favored by Kentucky was initially favored in this game, and now money on South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kentucky. I'm going to take Kentucky to cover the spread. I don't know if they'll win it or not. Of course, it's only 1.5 point spread. But what did you say on that, Couch Coach? I've already forgot.
I like South Carolina. I do. I think they're laying in wait, and I think they're going to get that. I just don't see Kentucky beating them a fifth time. I just don't. I'm sorry.
No.
So, I think that Kentucky is not going to be able to overcome South Carolina, and here's why. Kentucky, without Benny Snell, is going to struggle. They just are. So, when Georgia played South Carolina, we played like 8 running backs, right? We ran the ball a total of 52 times and come up with just 270 yards. That's only 5.2 a play. So South Carolina's run defense is really not bad. And the only reason that we were able to get 5.2 per carry is because we actually ripped off like 4 or 5 big runs. So you take those 4 or 5 big runs out, and it's only like 2 yards a carry. And that's with swapping out to fresh running backs the whole game. They got one good running back. So I think once he gets bottled up 2 or 3 or 4 times, he gets late in the third quarter, he's not going to be able to move the ball. South Carolina's going to win that game.
Well, what do you think, caller? What do you think about the game before we close this thing out?
Man, honestly, it would look good for Georgia if South Carolina could pull it out on the road, but,
right.
Kentucky got some momentum going.
Yeah.
I don't know. What, they're Gators, though.
Bro. What's y'all's score prediction for the Georgia-Tennessee game before y'all close it up?
I've got Tennessee covering the 31 points. They're going to get beat. I'm going to say 38-14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that. All right, well, go Dogs. Good luck this weekend.
All right, sir.
All right, before we close this thing out, let's go back over it now. You got to keep track of this, Couch Coach. I've got Tennessee covering. I've got Penn State covering. I've got Kentucky covering. I've got Florida covering. And I've got LSU covering. Those are my picks.
Yep. That's right.
Well,
I got you.
I'm gonna say that Georgia, because I haven't given a score prediction because I didn't get a chance to do my video today yet. But I'm going to give my score prediction for to Georgia-Tennessee. I think that Georgia is going to put, I'm going to say 48 to 7.
Woo! I like it.
Wow.
I like it.
That hurts, man.
And I'm sorry. I try to be as honest as possible. But if you'll go back and you'll look at my records that I called during the Dogs games, I'm normally not off by very much. I think Georgia is fired up right now. I think that they probably got quite a bit of coaching and got coached up on the mistakes they were making against Missouri. Coaches are going to want to use this game as a way to make sure all the fundamentals are in place and run that score up. And I just don't see a way that Tennessee is going to be able to hang on to the ball long enough to score very many points.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you got left, Couch Coach, before we close it out? Anything else?
I think that's about right. I mean, I kind of feel like it's going to be about a 44-7 game. I mean, now could Tennessee get like 10 points in there? Yeah. I mean, so that's why I'm a little leery on the side. I mean, 31 points is a ridiculous spread. I mean, that's stupid. But I just don't know. I mean, Tennessee, I got to see how they're feeling emotionally, man. I mean, if they get down 21 points real fast, I can see you guys packing it in. But if it's like 10-0 in the first quarter, yeah, I think Tennessee can kind of stay in there and grind it and hang in there. But, man, that confidence is going to be key for Tennessee. And just Georgia, of all that weapons and stuff, I just think it's asking a lot to hold them under 40 points. So, yeah, I like it at about 44-7 or 44. Yeah, 44-7, something like that.
Well, we'll see. I need one of you to come on my post-game show tomorrow after the game. One of you is needing to do it, or both of you. So
I'll be in Athens. I'll be in Athens, sir.
Right,
So
I'll give you both a call, and I'm going to wrap this thing up. I really do appreciate it, and another special thank you to CFI for loaning me their True to the Troops veterans truck that's all painted up with veteran stuff. They're letting me do my live show from here from the terminal in Joplin, Missouri. And all my social media stuff's down in the description. And go check out Big Dog Brett. I put a link to his channel in the description. And, of course, Couch Coach is on with me on almost every show. So, anyway, y'all know what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in. Go Vols. We might go to a bowl game. I promise you that. We're going to give Georgia a fight. That's all I got to say. Adios.
All right, fellas.
Have a good one.